Okay, I think we are live. It's always the awkward moments early on of going live. I think this is my first time doing it on this computer, so everything is looking like it is a go. So, yeah, I do definitely like I said, this is a new computer that I'm doing this on. So we'll see. Okay, there we go. If you are on right now, I guess if you're on, you can hear this, so you would be on. But can you message to make sure you can hear me and see me and everything's going well on y'all's end? Okay, we got some verification. Can you hear me, Smugwise? Can you hear me and see me? So far, sometimes the delay is frustrating because I'm like, it'll be nothing, and I keep asking the thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, brrr, and then it shows all the. Okay, cool. Yes, thank you, Carla. Well, good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. It is almost afternoon here. It's 11 Pacific Standard Time here in Oregon. And yeah, it is like howling outside. Like, yes, it rains all the time in Portland, but today is like a specific, it kind of reminds me of the intense thunderstorms in Texas. But really, the wind never gets this crazy. The only other time I've experienced such crazy wind is when I have visited my friends in New Zealand, which it's like I will literally be in the house and the wind is howling, and I don't even use that word, but that word is like that's the only way. They kind of live. They live on the North Island, but they live kind of at the bottom of this pretty big hill, and so the wind will come down and like no one else is nervous but me, and it's just like crazy because I'm like, I'm pretty sure when we go to sleep, the house is going to rip off the foundation and we're going to be in the river in the morning because it's going like 80 miles an hour. And they're like, yeah, it's not really a big deal until it's about 120. And obviously they do kilometers per second or per minute or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like all of that is intense. And they're like, yeah, no, unless it knocks you off of your feet in New Zealand, that's like the only. Oh my gosh, 69 and sunny. I mean, I'm starting to like wonder what the sun is. Like I've never experienced. I left Texas and the actual. Okay, all right. Hello. Um hello from Germany. Cold. I'm sure it is very cold. It's not quite as cold here. It's only like it's like 46, but in Texas yesterday was 80, so thank you, Carla. Good reminder. I was going to share as we get started this book I've been reading. I don't know if it converts it back to make sense for you or if you see what I see, which is everything flipped. Can y'all see this normal or is it flipped and look like craziness? And again, there's such a delay with the chat, so I'm going to do my best. Okay, cool. So you can see it right. Anyway, I would highly recommend y'all get this. I think that this is a just psychology-based book. That is so weird because I'm over here, and this is a great example of perspective or perception, I guess you should say, because this 100% is being mirrored. But yeah, so this is such a good book. So it's, I mean, and I'm in like paid, I'm like right here, like barely into the book. But I mean, vitalizing simple truths. Already it's intriguing, right? The psychology of self-deception. I think that this is so important, understanding what happens, and like we have to start understanding ourselves if we're wanting to make changes. So it's a lot of times I get the question like, well, how do you make the change? How do you do this? And it's like, well, really, it's very simple. It can be complex and not easy when you start getting into automatic responses. And that's why you have to be aware of how you're not telling yourself the truth and the ways we typically lie to ourselves, not out of like malice or like, not being a good person, but that's how we stayed alive. Hello, everybody. We're starting to get some people on, and the messages are actually now getting more real time. But yeah, I highly recommend reading this book because, okay, in the first little bit, it's talking about how when there's a perception, when there's an appraisal, when we're looking at a situation and we take from it that there's a threat, that as a human being, we're the only ones who can basically think our way into stress. So just start to think in your life right now, all the situations that you're perceiving as threatening, probably based on the past. And if you're not aware of what you're reacting off of, because you're, as also too, when something is threatening, you want to focus on it. Because if that's the thing that's going to uh, cause harm on you, you want to be aware. If there's a bear in your house, you want to know where it is so that you can avoid it, right? But if you're paying attention like that to the issues in your life, well, all your attention is going there, or you're thinking about your problem. And part of the issue with that is not being present to what is actually going on to shift your perspective. But this is just a really excellent book on what happens in your body. Even like basically you're thinking these things, and it's like, oh, you don't think those things, right? In manifestation. Well, we want to understand what those thoughts are being fueled by. They don't just pop up. And I mean, that's a whole school of thought too, of like thoughts not being your own. But in the, like, for a simplistic example, you're not just sitting there and then all of a sudden this really intense negative thought comes up, right? It's being fueled by your beliefs, and those beliefs are coming from perceptions. And I'm actually releasing a video about this on Monday, about like the simplicity of it, but how real it feels. And it feels real because you've had experiences, but those experiences are essentially limiting your future because you're only seeing through the lens of that experience as being real. What a way to kick it off. I mean, we're already deep in it. I know people wanted to talk about money today, so feel free to I was going to say release questions. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll do my best to keep up with them. Oh, okay, here's one. Okay, identifying with thoughts not being my own. I'm learning how to differentiate between my mother's voice. Ooh, perfect, wonderful. And that's a great point, Carla, because it's like, yeah, a lot of times what happens too is we internalize our early on caregivers or authority figures. We internalize their voices on what kept us safe, and what kept us safe then is not going to be the same as now. And think about all the other ways in your life that you don't eat the same things, you don't wear the same clothes, you probably beliefs about money and how you can make money in the world, your ability to see different expressions of people, right? Sweetness, cruelty, all this stuff. So when you're internalizing that voice that kept you safe, right? Think about a parent, like a little baby starting to walk, and they're like, oh, be careful. Oh, watch the stairs. Oh, watch the table, right? Like, I can only imagine what it's like to have a child. They go mobile and you're like, oh my God, it's like a little drunk adult who can't, like, has no stability because they're learning. So if we internalize that, though, is, oh, be careful. Oh, are you sure you can do that? And potentially in a voice of love and protection, potentially, maybe not, I don't know what your experience was, but if we keep saying that to ourselves, I don't know if you can do that. Do you think you're really capable? And that was from when we were 7 or 8, but now we're internalizing that and we're putting it into our future from our past. Our past is going to look like our future because now we're that critical inner voice. And there's a really good book called Conquering Your Critical Inner Voice. And even in the first, I think for me, what benefited me the most was even the first 4 chapters, just realizing, oh my God, what if, I'm just going to present this to you right now. What if that voice of just the critical, like that part of you that you have so much tension with, what if that's not even your voice? What if every time you get in a certain situation, it's like pushing a play button and there's your mom, or your dad, or your grandma, or your early on teacher who was kind of a bitch, right? For whatever reason, we're not trying to psychoanalyze them. We just want to say, what is your internal mechanism? What's going on? So what if that's not even you? What if that's not even your self-doubt? Like, think about that you're like, holy shit, all this time I've been my own friend. I believe in me. And this other part of me isn't even me. Like, can we just take a second? What if that were true? Because probably it is. So anyway, thank you, Carla, for that and inspiration for that rant. Um, yeah, golden affirmations. I am enough. Yeah. And a lot of times it's like, you've always been enough. We've always, I can't even say it. You and I have always been enough. But the distortion of that is really where we want to put, in my opinion, put the attention, because that's kind of that rubber band that keeps pulling us back. Okay. I wish I had the other book. I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm going to do my best to do the books. Okay, I'm gonna comment in it. I'm gonna listen to Carla. Vital Lies and Simple Truths. And the way that this came into my life, I'll tell you this story, unsolicited stories, since 1983. That's the year I was born, folks. But before I did YouTube, and I still do it, but I do a lot of like woodworking stuff, and I create like a lot of metalworking. That's my love, is to do like metal structures. But I was creating a project, and I happened to be at like a steel supply place. Like, usually you're not talking about spirituality, you're not talking about psychology, okay? So just let me set the tone there. I'm waiting there actually with my dad, who is a lovely man. He's from West Texas. He has this pretty slow Texas accent. And he's there, and we're waiting for like the people to come, because we want to see if they have this specific roofing. Essentially, I converted a piano, a physical piano, into a doghouse. I know it was my hardest creative project. Anyway, but this is like a really long-winded. I bet you didn't think you were going to hear this story today, but anyway, so I'm talking to this person, and in the matter of 3 minutes or less, it had to be less than 5 minutes. All of a sudden, he's talking about this book. And it's like, I'm like, whoa, okay. I don't know if y'all have experienced this, where it's like, you can just feel like this is a message from you, for you, from something else that's coming through this person, where it's like, where we are not only talking about spirituality, but we're talking about psychology. And at the time, I really felt like, how am I lying to myself? Like, what parts of me can be liberated if I started to really understand these accidental lies, these accidental appraisal of threats that I keep responding to? What if I could shift that and understand like what the source is? And guess what? This came into my life. So there was okay. And then conquering critical. I feel like Meet the Fockers, when that woman, like, she's the airline person, and she's like, okay. And then she's like typing like 9,000 things. And as she's like talking through conquering your critical inner voice. Okay. So those are the books. Let me see about the messages. Okay, good question. What if you have a fear for things going too good? Well, then you'd have to look at, do you feel guilty of receiving something good, right? Like, where's your value? You will only ever be able to receive that which you have space to receive. So if somebody's okay, so if you don't think this goes to money, this can go to relationships, this can go to jobs. This goes on that thing. Okay, so if there's an amount of money you want right now, say maybe you want to make $50,000 a year, $100,000, put whatever you want in that space. But you inside of you, and again, try to think less about money. I don't know why I did that. Less about physical money and more about energy, right? Energetic exchange, right? Value for value, right? So if you have that, but you don't feel like you are enough, or you feel like when you receive something that you have to work really, really hard to get the thing you want, or ultimately maybe you're not supposed to, you don't deserve to get what you want. So money and love and even jobs can all be rooted in that same thing. Fear if things go too good. Well, also too, if you have a lifetime as of now where things don't go good, where you haven't experienced what you want, be aware that moving into them feeling good is going to feel uncomfortable. So there might be some fear. Why? Because it's in the unknown. Okay, well, all the good things you're wanting right now, where you feel like you're not experiencing them and you want to, well, you have not experienced it in your life right as of now. Okay. So that means that there's going to be some unfamiliarity. And a lot of times it's not familiar, it's scary. I'm afraid. So realize that the path to getting the thing you're wanting to experience right now is going to be paved in an unknown situation, Or, okay, yes, something horrible things can follow the good. Yeah. So the thing that you're wanting right now is going to be paved or bridged in an unknown experiences, or you would have already experienced it. So if you keep trying to project the past into the future, you're going to keep getting the past. So it's going to be unknown. Okay. Um, can you suggest techniques or ways to direct accessing the subconscious mind to reveal all limiting beliefs and change them wisely? I love the way you worded that, just like so clean and neat. Um, techniques or ways to directly access the subconscious mind. So for one, to reveal them, it's almost an easy thing. Where are you struggling right now in your life? Where is the most pain coming from? The undesirable. Where are you right now experiencing something undesirable? It's like, oh wow, what a great topic, right? It could be love, it could be money, it could be what a job, right? Whatever. And sometimes obviously job has to do with money, but look and see what that is. So that's already your life right now can already show you so much. So once you, okay, where am I experiencing something I don't want to experience? Okay, let's look at that. Because what you're going to see is there's your conscious mind and then there's your unconscious beliefs. And that's probably where you're having tension. You want to have this amount of money, but inside you're programmed to that could sound like, okay, well, that's actually not for me. Money is for rich people, and if you're rich, you're selfish. If you're rich, you're greedy, and greedy people don't get love. It can go on like that. So what you first want to do is just start looking at it. For one, identifying what topic it is. Okay, why is this not desirable? Well, I really want this amount of money because I'll feel safe, because I'll feel secure. Okay, so we're really looking at security. We're really looking at just feeling stable. Okay, this amount of money, this person represents these things. Okay, how do I feel about that? Do I have space to receive it? How do I treat myself? Is this making more sense? Because we can use so much of what we already know to unravel it. And then when we get to that, get more rooted and also too a huge thing of subconscious between the last trimester of your biological mother and 7 years old, whatever you were exposed to, community, that being your immediate community with your family, siblings, aunts, uncles, grandparents, your school, what was being told, what messaging was being told to you about that topic? Again, like I can share my experiences. It's like, okay, oh, those people, rich people, right? That's them. Oh, they get more. They're getting those benefits. Oh, they get what they want. So also too, as a kid, you're reasoning, okay, if they get that, that means we don't get it because we're not them. Okay, well, I got to stay. And also too, if your family has a generational, certain type of income or certain types of dynamics with really love relationships, like everyone's always heartbroken or everyone always gets left, right? We want to see what was messaged to you, because what we want to do is get very, very clear on what your vantage point was when you were little. We're not judging it. We're not trying to reason on it like, oh, that was so stupid. Why did I think that? We want to be your friend of little you, because that's what has been programmed. That is the perspective that part of you still has. So your conscious brain up to 5%, right? It's like, oh, I want these things. I know that, oh, I can get them. I conceptually understand I'm worthy. And then the subconscious is like, hold up, hold my beer, as they say in the memes, right? Actually, I have an issue with that. Remember at 5 years old, you thought it meant that you weren't worthy because people weren't emotionally caretaking you and that sort of thing. Is that making sense? So that's the first thing you want to do is just start looking at what's going on. Bring your awareness to bring your conscious awareness to the present moment. That's another thing, to really tap into the power of neuroplasticity, of rewiring your mind. The only way you can do it is by using your mind to change your brain. Meaning, where is your mind? Where are your thoughts? If you're thinking about all your problems constantly, every time you do that, the subconscious is running, because you have to be on autopilot to kind of leave your current state so you can go over here and think about all your shit, really. I mean, we all have shit. I have shit, you have shit. We're doing our best to sort our shit. So as you leave and you're over there thinking about all these things and like, oh God, what did they think? Oh God, do they like me? You're running on autopilot. The whole thing that's causing you to feel the same I mean, it's like wild to me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so then you keep getting these experiences that keep just this going around, like on, if that makes sense. And then there's other things you can do about visualization to get more clear about it. You can use meditation to go back to that little you, that if you were told that you weren't good enough or you don't deserve that, you can actually stand up and talk to that parent or talk to that person like, actually I do. See right here, this heartbeat, this proves that I'm worth it. That's that simple. But we can get more into that, but I want to make sure that that answers the question from Hanada. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Hanada. I'm not going to try anymore. I've already said too much. Okay. What was your mindset before you got into the right relationship with your current partner? Wonderful question, because I don't think I have actually said that. My mindset before I got into the relationship was, will you love me? Will you please find value in me? Look at all these things I'm going to do for you. Will you then give me love? Please, 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 like so needy. Like the person I work with, my mentor basically, has said like, oh, you're codependent times 100. Like that is that's deep subconscious programming. I need you so I'm okay. It would look like me trying to be a hero. And what does a hero need? A hero needs a victim. So if I saw somebody who needed help, and we're not talking about like, oh, hey, my car broke down, can you give me a ride? I'm talking about like life in general. Oh, you're struggling? Here, let me be your hero. What did that mean? That would mean my own self-sacrifice, because I started to look and see what they needed so I could fit that need. Why? So I would feel like I had a place or purpose in their life. If not, I felt alone. Because before all of that, before I met this person, this is prior to my current relationship, because I felt alone, because I was looking for the answer outside of myself. So I know that that's self-abandonment. I thought that their love meant more than my own. I thought my life would be better if I had their affection. And then it would also be like, ooh, can I like earn their love? Can I win their love? And again, mine got so bad, and bad being quantified by detrimental to me, that I got in a physically abusive relationship and I was physically assaulted by the person I thought cared about me. So then when I realized, wow, I could actually get into a more intense situation, what would that end in? Would I die? I didn't know. So then I had to really start coming into myself. And this is years and years and years and years and years of working on this thing and finally manifesting what was really there, the depths of it, which was a self-abandonment, not treating myself well. And I don't ever feel like you manifest physical abuse. However, I do think it's important to look at how you got into that situation. What choices were you making and where were you with yourself, if that answers it. And if you have more questions about that, I really like the way you worded that too, of what was my mindset before, right? Because it's like, oh, the good stuff, and then you do this, and then magic happens, and then poof, there's the person. But I actually was so before also too, this is an interesting like shift. Before I got into the relationship, I was very like, how can I dazzle you? And when I met my current partner, it was like, hey, okay, this is not. So what are you about? Like, what's going? Because I was way more invested in my own sense of safety and my emotional well-being. And I was told by multiple people that I respect and go to for guidance, I have to use my discernment. And I started using my discernment, which then actually I was able to build true trust, if that makes sense. So, okay. And I think I missed one. Oh, no, I had gone back to that one. Okay. Do you like it when I lean in and I'm like, it feels kind of funny because it's not just me seeing me, it's y'all seeing me too. Also, tell me where y'all all are in the world. I'd love to hear about it. My Sagittarian moon loves world adventures. Okay, okay, I'm not totally the person who, what to do when it's abandonment, not feeling good enough. For one, I mean, like really, even though it seems really simple, the first thing to do is like just identify it. Wow, I don't feel good enough. So I abandon myself for this other person. I abandon myself thinking this amount of money will make me feel good enough. Again, in manifestation, you're only going to get a reflection of yourself. So if you don't feel good enough and you're looking for outside of you, you're going to get that reflection of that also to that abandonment. It's going to be echoed out. Um, so the first thing would be to just realize I don't feel good enough. Why is that? Why don't I feel good enough? Oh, this person said this, or that, or I reasoned when I was 6 years old that I wasn't good enough because if I was, then my parents would have loved me. If I was, then my siblings would have given me attention, right? And also, too, we all deserve, if you have a pulse right now, you deserve to be validated for who you are, just for breathing. You are worthy for breathing. That's it, right? That is like, there's no add-ons from that. That is like the basic core. However, most people were not validated for who they are, and therefore it shifted into, oh, it must be I get validation for what I do. So you start seeking those false mechanisms, thinking, okay, but really it never really taps into that sense of worth, because you're constantly like, it's the idea of like, what have you done for me lately? So that it's like this growing monster that's always hungry. Like, and so the other day I was talking to somebody, it's like two different people. It's like that goalpost, those standards are always changing and moving. So again, it makes sense on why you think you have to do something to get, but starting to realize when you operate off that dynamic, oh, okay, I'm doing that old thing. I am good for me as me. And as you start seeing that, other people in your life will start seeing that, which will create disconfirming experiences. I wish I had like a thing right here where it was like sound, and it would be like standing ovation or like hallelujah. Okay. Do you balance assuming that things are coming my way? How do you balance assuming that things are coming my way and the need to work towards my goals? Okay, I'm imagining I'm taking this to mean, um, how do you balance? This is me trying to do all three things. So like I'm just trying to sink it into my brain. How do you balance assuming that things are coming your way and the need to work towards my goals? They work hand in hand. Like knowing that, like it's that knowing, right? Not like, okay, I'm working towards my goals. Are they coming? Are they coming? Right? Like who do I need to be? What do I need to do? What am I trying to do? Right? Like what does that goal represent to you? And embodying those feelings and learning from your current work or your current actions. How can you use your intuition? Because again, if you're working towards it in the way you're working towards now, unsure if they're going to come towards you, then potentially you have some trust issues with that you have the power, or some doubt that you have the power and agency to take action, and that action helping you get towards a goal. So also this is kind of, may or may not apply, take it if you will, looking to see what your early on dynamics were. Did you feel like you had an ability to do something to connect with your caregivers, or did you feel like it was outside your control? Because anytime you feel powerless in a situation, most likely it's mirroring some dynamic when you were a kid, because only when you're a child are you truly powerless. I'm not saying that it doesn't feel powerless. I 100% understand that. I'm not saying that it doesn't feel like all these circumstances have more power or authority or weight compared to you, but you really want to start looking, because if you feel powerless as you're working towards your goals, like, oh, are they going to come or not? You want to look and see, okay, when I wanted to connect, and this actually goes right on with money. Hang on, I'm going to read a little bit more. Okay, little sad duck. It's like a cute, and it's like a little duck face, but I'm like, oh, don't be sad, duck, but be sad if you need to. Process that shit. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. But anyway, so with money is not, this is something I was taught, and I'm still looking to get more. Before I talk about it in a video, I'm looking to get more like data and more research and things that show this feels true, but I don't want to ever just say shit to y'all. I want it to be a bit more backed up, I think that helps the analytical mind personally. It helps my analytical mind. But the money dynamic that dynamic you have with money right now. So I'm just imagining that the goals have to do with something in the like job or money realm, right? your relationship you have right now with money is not the first time you've had that dynamic, right? So your money represents our ability to access physical resources. Early on, our mom and potentially dad, but probably mom, was the way you access physical resources. Think about being fed, think about having your diaper changed, that sort of thing. So, what was your emotional connection to your mom early on? Because that can help you uncover these dynamics that are not meant for money, they're meant early on. And we're not saying your parents at all are bad people, not blaming them. They did a phenomenal job because you're right here. You have the ability, get on a computer to access different information to help yourself expand, right? So good job, right? In whatever way they influenced you. You might agree with that. You might be like, hell no. So that's on you. I don't know. But so you want to just start looking. For me personally, it had to do with feast or famine. So in my adult life, like I talked about earlier, being like a contemporary woodworker and an artist. So, right, like I could get a lot of commissions one month and other months might be more scarce. But there was this fear, which totally represents my highly anxious attachment style. This fear that they would leave again, that nothing would ever show up again. So just starting to identify my highly anxious attachment style in relationships from my perceptions early on. And I had a lot of guilt because I'm like, my parents are such good parents and they did such a good job. They're so sweet and loving. Why? Oh, because it wasn't about what they did. It was about what I thought was happening, my perception, my vantage point. And that's it. It was hard for me to just allow myself to feel what I really felt because I was like, but they didn't do anything wrong. And then I had a heavy right and wrong that I continue to work on to resolve. Um, but the more I started to say, oh, okay, emotionally, I get this kind of feast or famine. Oh, it's there. Oh God, is it going to come back? Is it going to come back? So just like high anxiety when it comes to attachment style. And early on, there were some situations where I perceived that the person wasn't there emotionally, even though they were physically there. So then that was like, I felt like I didn't have an ability to tap in and do anything to maintain a consistent relationship early with my emotional connections early on. So when it came to money, I didn't feel I had an ability to maintain a consistent connection to money. Does that help anybody? Or did I just do a lot of like spinning and wildness? All right, running through. Oh, okay, little sad duck, and I think I even hear it in like a Texas accent, which little sad duck. Anyway, how much importance? Oh, how important is it to taking action when you're manifesting? Like, can you manifest weight loss without changing your diet and activities? Well, again, if you want to look at a strictly Neville Goddard way of thinking, the only way you're going to express the only way you're going to change the expression, which is your life. So if you want to change dynamics or variables in your life, the only way to do that is to change your consciousness level. Okay. And you're like, great. How do I do that? And he calls it the awareness of being. Who are you being? So metacognition, what are you thinking about, right? Rather than go out there and be thinking about all your problems, you're going to bring it to be present so you can make a new choice. So when it comes to weight loss, if you're thinking and feeling like the fit person or like the slim person or like the muscular person, whatever physical thing, but in this one, you said weight loss. So if you're feeling that person who has lost 20 pounds or 10 kilos or whatever the measurement, you won't be able to think and feel in the state where you're heavier compared to when you've had the weight loss. So is it actions that are getting you that? No, it's your view of yourself and you're acting in alignment in congruence with the part of you, the version of you that has lost the weight. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of trippy because it's like, you shouldn't have to work for your manifestations, but it's like, well, those action sets are actually in alignment with the version that has lost the weight. I didn't make the rules, but that's as much as I understand them as of now. Okay, scrolling through. Who knows their astrology in here? Anybody? I'm curious to see your sun and moon. Oh, throw rising in there if you know it. I'm an Aries sun, Aries rising, Sagittarius moon. It's like, I just feel like right now is like the meme where it's like nobody. It's like me. So you want to talk about astrology? So speaking of astrology, it's like no one's talking about it, but I am. All right. Insecure. All right. I feel threatened by other women because I'm insecure about how I look. I'm struggling to change. First of all, big ups to you for being honest and sharing that, because part of it is just identifying it, right? Okay, well, you don't feel, you feel insecure. That means you don't feel secure. And the threat is another woman. Now, what you want to see, in my opinion, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, most likely you were made fun of. You were, um, pointed out because of your looks, and that created a lot of pain, right? So when you appraise situations, another woman's here, oh no, I'm going to hurt. So you want to look at very, very, very basic. Okay, you feel threatened because of how you look, but you feel threatened that you're going to hurt, and you're perceiving yourself as not good enough. And again, you probably have a history of all of this. If you can look on the early on people, I get really defensive about people that like are trying to change, and like they've had these really hard times. We all have had our own journeys, but I'm like, those sons of bitches, right? And I'm like, okay, calm down, Abby. That Aries. I also have Aries Mercury and Aries Mars. Oh, and I also have a Christmas hat. I'm gonna put it on. 'Tis the season. Also, too, if anyone celebrates Hanukkah, happy belated Hanukkah, and all the other. Is anyone celebrating a Christmas? Jeez. Is anyone celebrating a holiday that is not Christmas? But okay. So when it comes to your insecurity, you want to look and see what was your original experience and start to see it differently. Basically, when you feel that insecurity, it's from that experience, early on experience. That experience shaped the awareness into the perception that you're not good enough, that you're going to hurt because of how you look. Then you had a belief about that. Then it goes right back to experience. And again, I have a video coming out on Monday that talks about this. The whole video is about this because it's so simple. If you can start, just consciously being aware of this dynamic, and being aware that in quantum physics, what you observe collapses from a potential into actuality. So it's like where you put your, what is it? Where you put your attention is where you put your energy, where you put your energy. I can't right now. I'm distracted by the trees like swaying like they're going to fall. But anyway, so if you can go back to those early on experiences and realize that you're giving those people who made fun of you authority and power, like you're giving them like, okay, like, a position of power over you. If you can be like, okay, you were actually jealous or you were hurting, you try to take your shit out on me and I'm giving it back. And that actually was never true. So I've lived my life thinking this thing is an absolute, and I'm a myth buster of that bullshit. And I'm going to start reasoning and seeing myself differently. Does that make sense or help at all for the person who asked about the insecurity? I'm trying to catch up here in the thread. Ooh, Leo moon. Love it. Oh, Sagittarius moon in the house. I mean, obviously I'm a fire sign, so I'm totally biased, but I do love so many different signs. I love how much y'all know about your chart, by the way, especially rising. I'm like, there's people who know astrology, and then there's people who know the time of birth. And I'm like, wow. And again, my mom would always call me on my birthday at the birth time. And she still does, but now it will be harder because we're 2 hours different. So I was born in the morning at sunrise. Okay, let me catch up. Let me catch up here. Sorry. My North Node is Gemini, so I really think I'm starting to tap into my Gemini chattiness. Okay. Still trying to read here. And like, I'm over here trying to read the top, but my mind is like, but what's happening in the meantime? I'm so excited. The time is really flying by. This is a lot of fun. Thank y'all all for being here. This is lovely and wonderful. And I really appreciate all y'all's support. It's really been an interesting journey, and doing this channel and researching this stuff and sharing has really helped me grow, and constantly makes me look at different parts of myself. So I appreciate that. Okay. What does neediness and the feeling of chasing a person reflect on a subconscious level, and what can we do in this case? I do have a couple of videos about chasing people, but that might help because I'll touch on it just a little bit. But since I already have those videos, not that I want to ignore this, but I go on for like 15 minutes about it. So look at like, I don't know the specific name of them, but I think Attracting Ideal Relationship, it's in that playlist. So check that one out. But neediness and the feeling of chasing reflects that you don't have, that person will fill that need. So if you have an empty cup, what am I getting a reflection of? An empty cup, right? So you're thinking, oh, they'll fill my cup. But no, to get a reflection of somebody who's emotionally consistent, reliable, and can meet your needs, you'll actually have to have a full cup. So rather than, again, you're reaching out to get them to do it. So also anytime you're like, hey guys, how's it going? I need something from you. In this case, maybe you wouldn't be like, okay, well, what is it? But if I went up and grabbed y'all's arms and you didn't know who I was, like your first thing would probably be to pull back. So when you're reaching out to somebody, they can feel that energy and most likely they'll want to move away, not because they don't care about you, but because that's just an energetic thing, because you're needing them for stability. You're needing them to feel whole and complete. So you're going to get a reflection of people, situations, circumstances that are going to show you what's inside, not because that's what you're worth or deserve. So when you do that, it's going to perpetuate, oh God, they're abandoning me, and you want to do it more. So I hope that helps, but check out those playlists. Okay. What can it mean when we notice much less interest in a desire? Okay. What can it mean when we notice less interest in a desire and less interested doing the imaginal play around it? Can you expand on that? Are you saying like you used to want, like, say, a specific relationship or amount of money and now you want it less? Christy, is that what you're asking? I want to be clear on it before I move forward. If anyone's wondering if this hat is getting hot, the answer is yes. Okay, how do you impress your subconscious mind with the new beliefs that you are not abandoned, but worthy, deserving, good enough? For one, you stop abandoning yourself and just that comes to awareness. And again, the way you impress something in your subconscious is you can do repetition, you can do like hypnotic, affirmations. And again, it best if it's your voice. But for one, you want to say, okay, we're disproving the idea. Okay, you're worthy, and just start accepting this. I have a pulse. I am worthy. I thought I wasn't worthy early on because no one validated who I was. They validated what I did. So it's like, oh, that's the way I do it. So I was taught a way that actually wasn't true, right? No offense to anybody in your life, because that's how we're taught in, modern society. So with a new belief, you're going to have like a shift in even your neurological pathways. So the way to do that is to be present. When you acting off of the idea that you're not good enough? When do you abandon yourself, make yourself less? As you start to be aware of that and say, oh, you know what? I am enough. I'm not going to say, oh no, it's fine. I'm good. Oh wait, actually, I'm not good. I actually want that. Or, you know what? I'm really tired. I really want to go to your party. I really want to, but I just have had a really long week and I'd love to reschedule. Just starting to stand up, and you don't have to piss on other people or like ruin them or hurt them, I should say. We're not looking to be cruel, but we're looking for you to have space. And the more you do that, the more you say yes to you and potentially no to other people, the more you start being with yourself and start having disconfirming experiences. I hope that one connects. Okay. Oh, Aries. I love it. We've got a lot of Sag and Aries, which I always think is funny too, because it's like this person the other day I was watching a Bruce Lipton video, and I'm like, this guy, I mean, yeah, he loves donuts and so do I, but I'm like, this guy, there's just something about him. I looked up his chart and he has a Sag moon, and I'm like, I knew it. That I really liked it. I think he's wonderful. Because he's just like so easy breezy, cool, and he's not so serious. Not that like Dr. Joe's more serious, which is great, but he's like kind. I think he has a Cancer moon, or he's Cancer sun. I think it's like a Virgo moon. And then Dr. Bruce Lipton is just like chill. And he even in the story he was talking about living on a beach, like he lived in the Caribbean and he was teaching. And I'm like, that just seems like He's like a vibe, I guess, is the best way to say it. Okay, what to do if you feel you have no control of your emotions? I come back to the present moment and feel my feelings, but they don't change. Okay. What to do if you feel you have no control over your emotions? Well, there's a difference between observing your emotions and being in your emotions, right? And there are also people, places, situations. There's going to be a emotional wiring represented. Dr. Joe talks a lot about this. But if you go to work and you're like, oh God, that person annoys me, right? Boom, that pathway is getting triggered. And also your body literally can become addicted to the chemicals that are released from the thoughts you think. So the emotions, basically, there's like a chemical component that you can become addicted to. That can go both ways. That can be happy, that can be anxiety, whatever. So you do have control over your emotions. Now, if your environment is controlling your emotions, well, there you go. Your body is therefore in charge of your mind, and it will take work and it will take repetition. And again, I feel like I need like a megaphone, not because y'all aren't listening, but this is me to me, where it's like, we have to be present in order to make the biggest change. If you're thinking about, oh God, I'm not in control, you're actually not in the moment, and like, wow, and observing it. Wow, I'm really overwhelmed right now. I'm really feeling a lot of anxiety, or I'm really mad, or I'm sad. Okay, where did this get triggered? And you want to just start looking and investigating, and just witness it. Wow, there's a lot of pain in there, not in it. And that takes practice. Um, oh, well, Ingrid, welcome. That is a very fast pace from video to live. Here we go. Okay. I don't know why I'm humming. Okay, great. Happy said duck. Another great question. Do you believe in destiny? I guess no. As of right now, I mean, that could change. Because you also have the right to change your mind, right? Like maybe you have a current belief and then, oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Um, that fixation on like, this is what I think and this is real and this is true. I have found as a Sag moon, and this is like one of the negatives, or like, I feel like in every zodiac like placement, there's like the parts where you can do the heavy lifting. And for Sagittarius is like that idea to like let go of being right, or like that self-righteousness. Sometimes it's really hard. My partner is so like patient with me and so generous, because she can recognize that, but also like we have these like really interesting conversations. And I just feel so, it feels nice to be able to have the space to like be witnessed of working through that, of like, I'm not right all the time, or this is the way I see it and it doesn't make it true. Do we control our life, or is it in the hands of our destiny? Well, that's why I do believe as of now that no, I don't believe in destiny. I do believe that we have things to work on when we come into life based on the family we were born into. Even our zodiac kind of gives us more clues. And I think there's a lot of other modalities about clues to help ourselves. But when we do not understand our very early on programming, and Carl Jung, however you say it, he said this: if you're not aware of that, those deep subconscious beliefs, they continue to rule your life, and you call it fate. But really, it's these things you're not aware of. It's like, have y'all ever gone to like Disneyland or Six Flags? This is like a ride I used to love when I was a kid. And it's a little car and you like can drive it and the wheels actually move. And it's like, I think it's even like gas powered. It was like the coolest thing. And it's a little tiny car and you can steer, right? I'm like, yeah, but you're on a track. So you can only steer so much along this track. Did I try to steer it off the track? Yeah. I think my dad, even at the time, was like, hang out, like chill. I am like so much like fire. So I'm like, yeah, let's go off road. But that is kind of how I see the subconscious mind, where it's like we think we're like navigating, but those thoughts, those deep beliefs are actually navigating the choices we make and the things we're actually able to see. So starting to tap more into that, I believe, taps more into your free will, which is essentially unlocking the potential of your life. Oh, I love it. He's saying, I love that. Yes, that experience, the old thing came up, you got triggered, but there's a whole different experience. So it's you're just doing that. And even getting triggered isn't like, oh God, I've lost the plot, it's all over. That's like, okay, we need a little more work here. So wonderful job. Okay. Abby, were you applying your knowledge on manifesting when you were an athlete? Well, I didn't, I had actually had no idea about manifesting or anything like that. I mean, maybe a little like, I'm trying to think, like, honestly, like what did I think? It was like, yes, manifesting, but through sport. So like visualization, I guess, is the best way. Like that is very much synonymous with it. Um, but Psycho-Cybernetics was recommended to me by an Olympic gold medalist. And I read that, and that really shifted because I was a very anxious, like all up in my head, like I could do it in practice, but then I wouldn't do quite as well in meets. So I had to do really good in practice behind the scenes, and then I could do okay in meets. But after reading Psycho-Cybernetics, I actually was able to start excelling and do better in competition than in practice, because I was able to harness all that potential energy, which a lot of times is equated to anxiety or fear, but harness it and ride it and like get on the spring and then get shot off. So Psycho-Cybernetics is a major one to kind of help you start learning how to see yourself differently and stop the thoughts and reprogram, really. But it was written by a plastic surgeon who started to, do all the work on people. And this was people who were like, had a lifetime of, maybe they were born with some sort of visual abnormality, or maybe they were in an accident and then they experienced life with this change of their face. But he discovered basically that unless you change your inner world of how you saw yourself, the mirror didn't matter. So, and also too, that is also applicable because if you got an experience in your life right now where somebody came to you and was like, you're the greatest person in the world, oh my God, you're the love of my life, I love, you're so wonderful. If you don't think you're very good, it will feel so uncomfortable and you'll start to feel like a fraud, and you'll be like, okay, for one, you might not even be attracted to this person because they're not abandoning you or creating those old dynamics. And two, you don't have space for that currently if you're feeling doubtful and not good enough. So even the thing you want right now, until you change your self-concept, you won't actually be able to receive it because they don't resonate. It will actually maybe make you feel bad when they're saying these genuine, heartfelt things. Does that make sense to everybody? Oh my God, somebody has a loudspeaker emoji. I love it. I love it. Okay. And again, let me know if anything's not making sense. Okay. Also, too, I want to let you know that in 2022, I have some ideas for because, okay, who feels like I basically want to merge, because I feel like sometimes it's visually very boring to just sit and talk. Not for me, but like as a consumer of other content. Like, I don't know. I wonder y'all's thoughts on it. I just think as a human being, like excitement. So I'm looking to make my videos continue the content and the information depth, but make them a little bit more visually interesting, changing scenes, having a little bit more like, think of like a vlog meets spiritual info. What are y'all's thoughts on that? If that makes even sense. It's hard to articulate like what's in my head in terms of like that vision. Okay, so Bruce Lee, I mean, first of all, thank you. I'm a big fan. But how can we change a subconscious belief in summary? The first thing, you got to recognize what it is. What are you actually feeling? Use your outside world right now to start to understand what that could be. And you'll feel it to be true inside of like, I don't feel good enough because blank. I feel like I have to work really hard to get what I want. No matter how hard I work, it's always wrong. Like whatever that is, only you know, and you can use your body to know what's true, because your subconscious is your body. A lot of physical ailments, we can talk about that in another time, but there's a website. I'm going to put it in the old link here. Flows and forms. I didn't even put .com, but y'all get it. And you go up to the top, does your body lie? And that's going to show you a lot of different physical ailments and what emotionally could be represented in there. Very interesting. But start to look at what actually needs to be changed. Like you have to address what the current tension is. You have your desires and you have your belief. If this is your desire, if your desire, let's say temperature, if your desire is 72, but your belief is 68, you'll always be brought down to the 68. And this tension of that difference creates that pain. So it's not about changing this. It's about using your conscious mind to understand what this is and then bring that up. And the way you do this is you cut the cords of whatever truth, like what's proving this? Why? What is proving? What is this holding up? Because why can't I move it up here? And you might find, well, remember when your mom told you, or remember that experience when that teacher was an asshole to you. That's what you're looking for. There we go again, humming. Okay, I think I'm almost. Oh my gosh, I just got back to the okay, what do I think about Bruce Lipton's mind program from the environment? Yeah, I think that we have all sorts of different things. I think Biology of Belief, is that what it is? His book? I haven't read that one yet, but since I know he's a Sag Moon, he's really moved up. And I've always loved him, but he's like resonating more with me, I guess you'd say right now. But yeah, environment, like what was your environment? Like you are literally a blank computer when you're young, and you do have genetic like programs. So you also can use your family, like lineage. Like what does it look like, your family and relationships? Is there a series of people being unfaithful? What is it? Or like being an unhappy, like they stay together, but they're really unhappy. What does it look like in how they talk and see themselves with money? You can look and see that, because especially if it's generational, that could help you get more information. You want to be a detective. When I was a little kid, I used to wear like a hat, like it was so ridiculous, but I would wear this hat and I think of myself as a detective. So I guess now I'm an emotional archaeologist, helping myself uncover what is holding me back, and then trying to share that process with you all so you can do the same. And you don't need a hat. You don't need a hat for this work. Okay, to clarify, I've been imagining for a specific desire, but suddenly have less inspiration to imagine for it. Your desires can change, especially too, as you become more aware of what you're really needing and what you're particularly wanting. So maybe that, Christy, maybe that specific thing, maybe that represented safety, security. And as you start doing the work in your manifestation, you're like, oh, actually, I don't need that to have it. I can have it on my own. So that actually might, like that can happen with specific people, that can happen with a job, that can happen with money, because you're using this outside thing right now potentially to represent a feeling, a state, probably security and safety. So as you unwrap from that, some things might go. I don't know why I keep trying to hum. I'm like, there are people listening. La da dee. Okay, I mean, that's a really interesting one, Joe. How do I use the law of assumption to guide my investment decisions? What type of clues or cues in my environment should I be looking for and picking up on? Well, for one, listen to your body, but you also have to be very clear on if you have a lineage of money issues, or feeling like I can't get the money I want, or somebody comes and screws me over. You've got to be very clear on that. Know what your impulses are in terms of your activity, so that you can actually make a choice from your intuition compared to your subconscious. I guess the word would be subconscious impulses. Does that make sense, Joe? Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Oh my gosh, we've almost been on an hour. This is wonderful. Okay, Carla, I put into practice the concept of not abandoning myself. I stood up for myself, not in a rude way, good, to my SP. He got pretty offended and we're not in contact right now, but I'm okay with it. I love how you did one of two, because I know I was there for myself and did what was best for me. It's amazing how much I was abandoning myself to keep the relation in a certain place. Yeah, I mean, for one, good, because you made a choice for you. And if that relationship was only hanging on, and I'm not putting on any kind of finality with it. We don't know anything about what the future holds, but we could, give it some influence of things we observed. That just made me think of like quantum physics, that double slit experiment. But if you had to abandon yourself to maintain the relationship, that person then is like lining up with, yeah, we're supposed to abandon, right? So if you're standing up for yourself, oh my gosh, Joe, is that how it is? I don't know how to do. I've just received my first super chat. Is there an award? I would like to thank you for this award. It's going to buy a coffee for me later, which is going to keep my soul nice and warm on this cold, windy day. This is me. Again, Aries power, right? Does this mean I won an award? Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Oh, it is, Joe. Now it says it in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Where was I? But anyway, if part of that arrangement in the relationship was abandonment, and you're like, no, well, now you create a different dynamic of, okay, you're starting to not abandon you. And again, as you said, like, it probably feels better. And again, this was my experience. It felt better to stay with myself than it did to abandon myself and that person stay with me. Because what I was wanting was connection. And when I lost connection with myself, they weren't actually able to connect to me because they were connecting to a false version of me. So that just felt really shitty. So I was literally abandoned and empty feeling, even when the person stayed. But when I stayed with myself, even when somebody left, I was okay with it. And yeah, there are some tumultuous feelings sometimes of that, but also too, it's allowing you to move in a way that you didn't potentially even see possible before. So excellent job to you, Carla. And also somebody asked about crystals and tarot. I do. It took me a while. I grew up in a really strongly, highly religious, not highly, but a pretty strong Christian. I had a strong Christian upbringing. So words like God and things like that have been more interesting for me to navigate to see how I feel about them versus my perception of what I was being told. But I do find the tarot very interesting. I have the weight one here. And I do find it really interesting when you pull like a daily card. I find like it's very fascinating. And that can go back even to quantum physics of like, if I'm observing something and I'm pulling the card, is that card not just a reflection of my own inner world? That's kind of what I'm playing off right now. And it's really interesting. If you have a tarot deck, or if you're interested in this, you can use this with a variety of different things. I just realized I had this Santa hat on, which is so funny to me. It's like, I'm over here like talking about these like really like the things that I find really important and interesting. And I have like a Santa hat on anyway, but it's really helped a lot of times. I find it like eerily accurate. I'm like, or sometimes I pull a card and I'm like, that's not what I'm feeling, but I'm like, maybe that's deep in the basement. And this little tarot card's like a little bit of a light in the darkness. And I do have a crystal here. Obviously, this was my fill-in award from Joe. This is actually a crystal that my partner got me last Christmas. So that was from before. Yeah, I would suggest trying the do like a week of pulling. Oh, cool. Pulling a card every day if you'll have a deck. Just a funsy experiment. Maybe even the rest of the month, right into the new year. I think it's interesting. And again, I'm very much a that's bullshit, right? Sagittarian moon. I know best. Anyway, but that's how I got into astrology. It's like, we'll see about this. And I was like, gee, oh my God. Oh my God, for whatever reason, instead of reading How Are We All Today, I thought I read How Tall Are You? Don't even ask. I guess because I saw the all. We see what we want to see. I don't know why I want somebody to see how tall I am. Oh, good. GD, I'm glad that it's helping. Okay. What to do when discouraged and giving up our desires because we believe we need a miracle for manifesting and we're not seeing the movement in the 3D. So when you use a 3D to define how you feel, you're always going to be stuck in where you are, because in order to change it, like, it's like, oh God, I really wish that I had this hat off. Like, life would be so much better if this hat was off my head. I just wish it would like obviously I have to take the hat off my head to have hat hair now, but it's what I did outside of that reflection that made the change that I see in this screen. So if you feel it takes a miracle and that what you're doing has no power, you want to look back in the history of yourself to say, okay, did I grow up thinking that my decisions weren't good? Was I told that I'm not very powerful? Like you want to look at the history of you having power and agency. Agency is I take action and that has a direct effect in my experience. I mean, in this case, it would mean that. But like that it's like a cause effect thing, right? So the cause, the origin of change to that outside 3D movement you're looking for is not the 3D. It is you starting to look at, why do you need a miracle? Why are you not powerful enough? It's not because that's true. It's because of some kind of perspective you have of yourself, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more and then I'm going to actually go edit the video for Monday. I don't know if you already, how do I understand what I want, what job, what place? And also too, as we have a little bit more time, I can't see a Santa hat without seeing Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so John M. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I poured a cup of coffee before we started and I hadn't even had any. Okay, how can I manifest away anxiety? So anxiety, I feel like I'm like trying to plug this book. I'm like, actually, if you refer back to this book, but anxiety, like think about the idea that you're looking at an event, a situation, a circumstance, and you're appraising it, you're giving it a value, a meaning. I don't know why I keep doing this, and putting that stress label on it, right? And the stress label happens when that thing requires more resources than you feel you have. So you're like, oh man, there's this big looming thing that I'm afraid of, because what bad thing would happen? And anxiety is a lot about the future, trying to anticipate the future. Again, go to Flows and Forms and look up anxiety under Does Your Body Lie? And that might give you a little bit more info. But what you want to start doing is, again, I would read this, because if you understand more, like, okay, I'm seeing this situation as I'm interpreting it this way. This is all I'm seeing. Okay, what resources do I have? What is the worst possible thing? What am I afraid this means? Okay, probably that you don't have safety or security in some situation. That if this happens, and also potentially using your past to anticipate your future. If you're in this group right now and you're talking about manifesting, you're probably not wanting to recreate your past, or you'd be like easy breezy, right? Like, oh, autopilot, this is great. All the programs are wonderful. Chef's kiss. So if you don't want to anticipate, you don't want to recreate your past into your future, using your past to see your future doesn't work. So there's a lot of unknowns, and a lot of times the unknown can present a lot of anxiety, because you're like, oh God, I don't know how to respond to this. You also don't know what this is. Is this good? Whatever is, like, if I grab into this and I had a handful of things, I don't know what I'm going to grab. It could be a golden nugget. It could be a piece of chocolate, right? It could be a piece of trash. I don't know, but only until when I reach in and grab it and can see, okay, what am I dealing with? Can I then like navigate that issue even if there's an issue. For instance, when I was doing a lot of woodworking, I would try to problem solve before I really knew if it was a problem. So much of my mental energy sometimes when I was thinking about different projects, especially if they're a big like dining room table, there's like logistic issues. So many times I had like tried to problem solve, and when I went to experience the actual thing, there was no problems. The problem I had was trying to anticipate what problem I would have, and there wasn't one. So just start to rethink about that. What do I know to be true right now? Because that anxiety is most likely potentially coming from the past and trying to project into your future. I hope that helped. I do think there's a lot of power of words. If any of you know or are familiar with Dr. Emoji's work, which I think is hilarious because of emojis, but I think that that's how you pronounce it, but he's the guy who basically did all the research with freezing water, like doing intention over water, freezing it and looking under a microscope with it. And basically things like, and that also goes in line with, like plants listening to like classical music versus like heavy metal. They've showed a lot of different, and then rice too. So it's like these ideas of this intention spoken of this energy. And I do think words have a certain frequency, but this energy spoken out and where it registers. And again, it's like things like love and peace. And it was like, I think the way that they did these experiments was they had, I mean, at some points, like hundreds of people, I believe, but basically someone or people would essentially look at the water and put this intention on it, even though it does sound a little bit like, really? But that's the power of it, right? Where they put this intention in the water, they froze it, they look it under their microscope. And there was all of the, and look it up if y'all haven't seen it. Let me see. Dr. Emoji. I'm just going to put, see if we can get something so y'all can click on it. Oh, it's a moto. Jesus. God, it's not even emoji. It's a oh God, a moto. I've been told a lie. But anyway, my mistake. Let me see. Let me get back to y'all. Okay. That is a really long link. We're not going to do that. I'm trying to get a link here. Okay, maybe this one will be good. I'm not going to speak of this website. I'm just using this website as a link. So don't look at the words. I don't know what they are. This is unqualified, but I just want y'all to see the different crystallization of these words. I guess I should have sent y'all a YouTube video, but anyway, it's just so powerful. So yes, I do strongly believe in words, and that's why I do a lot of etymology, because I don't think that it matters if you don't know the energy of the word. If you're using it, I do still think that there is power in that. So, okay. Let's see. And then also too, if there's anything else y'all want to see in future videos, even if you go back to the community tab about today's post or the post I asked about what topics, let me know, because I would love to make specific videos to help you, just like we did here, where it was like your literal question and then me answering it. I would love to do those videos that I know exactly what issue is being had, so I can specifically address it, because I do think that there's more than one person probably experiencing that situation. All right, well, this was lovely. Probably do another one before Christmas if y'all are interested. But thank you all so much for your energy, for your kindness, for your love, for your participation, for your support, for your essence being here, creating this, us all coming together. It was wonderful. I love y'all. I really do. Hang on, I just got a new computer that has this touch screen that you can put emojis, not to be confused with Dr. Emoto. God, I think I even said that in one video. So thank y'all all for being here. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next one.